Welcome to Married to History, where we try to be informative, entertaining, and family friendly.
Aloha, I'm Christopher, and we are truly taxing my voice today because this is the third episode we've done in just this night. I don't think we've ever done this many episodes
We
before.
haven't, but we're having fun.
But yes, I enjoy doing this so much, so I don't care about the fact that my throat is killing me. And I also have a fancy piece of paper on my wall that says that I know more about history than most people do.
I'm Shirley. I am not as sick as he is, so my voice feels great. I'm also a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, Christopher, and Liberty's kids to teach our kids history. All right, well, honey, I have a history question for you today.
I love history questions.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a history question, but it's also inspired by recent events.
Oh, I
Okay.
like these.
So, so our family has been watching a lot of Robin Hood lately. And so I have several questions from me and the children about Robin Hood.
All right. What questions do you have about Robin Hood?
Okay, so first question that we have is, was King John really a sissy lion that a fox, a bear, and another myriad of other animals were able to steal from? Second question, did Richard... Okay, so...
Can I answer the first one first?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, King John was real. King John was not popular.
Mm-hmm.
King John was taxing people heavily, and the people didn't like that. As far as people stealing from him, well, I'm sure there were plenty
No,
of...
not people, animals.
To the best of my knowledge, no animals, be they bears or snakes or otherwise, actually ever stole from the king.
But did he suck his thumb?
I have
And-
no
and
idea
cry for his
if he
mama?
sucked his thumb or not. I have no reason to believe that I can recall of to indicate that he was a mama's boy. He was definitely not the lion that his older brother was.
Okay. Well, since you mentioned his brother, Richard the Lionheart.
Mm-hmm.
So how did Richard, because, I mean, the last question was silly. Obviously, these weren't animals. They were people, no matter what Disney says. But Richard the Lionheart, how did he get that lion heart? Like, their surgery techniques were not that advanced back then. How the heck did they figure out how to do a transplant with a lion heart?
So Richard was in battle at a young age, and he was wounded by some arrows, and he was probably going to die out. So they took him to his mother, who couldn't do anything for him. So his mother, being somewhat familiar with the old pagan traditions, brought him to a cave where a witch cut out his heart.
Was the
and
witch
put
named
the heart-
Latrine?
No, and
Okay.
put in the heart of a lion.
Wow.
And then this would enable him to be able to live on and carry on, to have the strength and the courage of a lion.
That is so cool. You're also full of baloney.
That is absolutely 100% baloney. A lot of it taken from a movie called Dragonheart that I remember watching. It was not a very good movie.
Yeah.
I liked the cast. I liked the actors that are in the cast, but the movie was not that great written. No, Richard did not have the heart of a lion, like many a nickname.
Mhm.
It was given to him.
Figurative, not literal.
Yes.
Okay, the next question that we had. Did Will Scarlet really hate Robin because they were half brothers?
There is no evidence that Will Scarlet ever existed, because there is no evidence that Robin Hood
Aw.
ever existed.
Well, now you just ruin everything with your facts and evidence.
So it has long been a theory, I guess you could say, of who the legend of Robin Hood is based on.
Mm-hmm.
So that we don't even know if it was based on a real person or not, if it was just a legend that came about later to fit the facts. When the legend of Robin Hood starts, I don't remember for sure, but I don't think it was a legend that was spoken of at the time. It's one of those things that comes about after the fact instead. So yes, we do not know if Robin Hood was based on a real person. We do not know who it is. I'm sure there are plenty of theories that I'm not familiar with. Perhaps some are more substantial than others.
Yeah.
But the last time that I remember looking into the matter, no, we have no idea who or what Robin Hood may have been based on.
But so King John was real.
King Richard was real. King John was real. The circumstances that necessitate Robin Hood, or the setting, if you will, that the legend of Robin Hood takes place in, the idea of the being an unpopular king and he's taxing, and King John is doing all this stuff while his brother King Richard is away.
At the
all
Crusades.
all of that is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that stuff is real. But man, while I'm sure there were thieves, There's nothing that I'm familiar with that supports the idea that there was one popular thief going around named Robin who was robbing from the king and giving back to the people. That sounds very
Mm-hmm.
much more like a folk story that would be told much later after the fact.
I
Because the people
suppose.
that were mostly mad about the taxes were the barons. The king didn't tax the people, the king
Mm-hmm.
taxes the barons, and the barons, in order to pay the king's taxes, the
Oh.
barons tax their people.
Well, that's how it is in Robin Hood too. It wasn't John well, it depends on which version you watch. It wasn't necessarily
In most
John,
of
it
the
was
versions of Robin that you watch, all the blame goes to John.
well,
The idea is
but
that
Sheriff was the one who was doing the bidding.
okay,
Everyone hated the sheriff
but doing the
'cause he was
bidding
the
because of
one.
John.
Yes,
So
okay.
it
Yes.
was never that the sheriff was unhappy that John was making him do this to the people.
Mm,
That every sheriff that I've ever seen depicted was that, oh no, the sheriff was happily doing this
yeah.
for the king.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, except for Prince of
Well,
Thieves.
for Prince John, not the king.
Well, yeah. Prince John wasn't even in the Prince of Thieves
Prince John was
movie.
not in
It
the
was all
Robin
the
Hood Prince of
sheriff.
Thieves movie yet.
Yeah.
That was something that I always found kind of interesting about that one,
Mm-hmm.
but I liked it.
It was a interesting
Because
movie.
every King John I think that I've ever seen depicted is usually depicted as like a sniveling kind of brat. Oh no, I take that back. There was
Mm-hmm.
one, the Robin Hood that I saw with Russell Crowe. I only watched it one time and I don't remember it terribly well, but I don't remember John being portrayed as a sniveling brat there.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I like the idea that there wasn't some sniveling brat that the sheriff of Nottingham
Yeah.
was dealing with but they included that snivelingness or that childlikeness
Mm-hmm.
into part of the sheriff of
Oh,
Nottingham's
for
character.
sure.
I loved Alan Rickman.
He's
a great actor.
genius. So, was Nottingham a real place?
I do not recall. I do not believe that Sherwood Forest is a real place. I don't think Nottingham is a real place either, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
And if they aren't real, then I'm not sure if they were based on real places or not.
Mm-hmm. What about Maid Marian? Was she real? She's
I do not-
supposedly the cousin.
I do not believe Maid
Of-
Marian was real. I believe that she was created for the love interest that folktale stories demand,
Yeah.
the hero rescuing the damsel in distress. To that said, I have no evidence to definitively deny that Richard and John had a cousin whose name was Marian.
And surely Lady Cluck was real. She's my favorite character.
Oh, the chicken lady in the cartoon?
Yes, she's the best character in the whole.
If there was a Maid Marian, then yes, the
Yes.
chicken lady was probably real too, because certainly she would have had a lady in waiting
She
or a
would have.
guardian or something to that nature.
Among all the Robin Hood movies I've seen, Lady Cluck is the best character out of all of them.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. No, Lady Cluck is not the best character in all Robin Hood movies. Now, I cannot say that I have seen all Robin Hood movies, so there may in fact be better characters that I have not witnessed. But in my opinion, the best Robin Hood characters, the top three at least, are these in this order. Azim, who was in none of the legends that I'm familiar with until Robin Hood Prince of Thieves,
I
played by
prefer
Morgan Freeman.
Asniz.
Azim was awesome.
Yes.
Then second place, and it kills me that I'm forgetting this actor's name, was the actor who played Friar Tuck in Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. I love that guy, and I loved his performance as Friar Tuck. And third place
I could do
goes to
without.
Blinken from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Blinken wins. Yeah, okay. Blinken
Those are
wins.
the top three.
Lady Cluck is number 2. Blinken is number 1. Okay, I have another question from the kids.
Okay.
Okay, so clearly Robin Hood wasn't actually a fox. I mean, no matter what Disney tells you. But surely he was a robin. He was a bird of some kind.
No, that was his name if he really existed. His name was Robin.
That's boring.
You say it's boring, but there are plenty of people today who name their children after flowers or animals or seasons or days of the week or months of the year.
It's true.
We can't all, or one person's boring is another person's symbolic coolness, significance, whatever you want to call it.
So was he named Robin Hood because he was graceful or something like a robin and he wore a hoodie all the time?
Assuming that he was named as a baby, they couldn't have possibly known if he was
I
going to
don't
be
know.
graceful like a robin. And no, the hood part is not a name so much as a title. Robin of the Hood.
I don't
the hood,
understand this.
The Hood being the colloquial name or
The
so of
neighborhood.
the name that you would give to people that were of the thieves' persuasion, the cloak and dagger, the mystery, the criminals, the guys hiding out in the shadows and whatnot, the thieves.
Little Red Riding
the
Hood.
hood. the Hood part of Robin Hood's name comes from the idea that he was a criminal.
Little Red Riding Hood. She was a criminal too. I've seen Into the Woods. She stole so much bread from the baker. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
The connections that you're gathering, while normally I would celebrate the connections that my students make in history, these are not connections that are going to earn you a fancy piece of paper on your wall.
Whatever. I think we have another question incoming. Okay, we have a really good question now. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, so next question. So, according to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Friar Tuck made wine. And also Men in Tights, it was Rabbi Tuckman. He made wine. So, if it's Friar Tuck's wine, was it fried wine? I've never heard of making wine that way.
Give me strength. First off, in the movie, he made beer, not wine.
Whatever, alcohol. He fried it.
Grapes do not grow in England's weather, or at least at the time they didn't.
You still haven't disputed the most important part.
So they would have made beer, which was much more easily grown and made there. And no, you don't fry beer.
Well, that's boring. Okay, next question. Did all of the merry men really wear tights? Like those bright green tights? And did they get them out of those little pantyhose eggs?
This is so hard.
What do you mean? They were men in tights. Is that part true? I don't think that tights would be the best idea.
They were not true. Tights did not exist in that era.
But they look really good.
Tights did not exist at that era, nor did white egg containers to deliver anything in, for that matter. And I think that Worf says it best in an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Mm-hmm. No, they were not all merry men, if they were real. Worf is my favorite Will Scarlet. Sir, I must protest. I am not a merry man. Michael Dorn is an actor I would love to meet someday.
He's pretty great. Okay, any other questions?
I am so happy that you all are enjoying this so much, but I am exercising a level of self-control that I haven't found myself needing to exercise in quite some time.
The original first and third question were mine.
They were.
They were not everybody else.
Yeah, that was her.
Mine.
Why? What?
These are not the types of questions that you want to take credit for.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
So was Sheriff Rottingham, or Nottingham, whatever his name is, was he raised by a witch?
Assuming that the Sheriff of Nottingham was a real person, because we don't even know that, I have no way of confirming whether or not, if real, he was raised by a witch, or by not a witch, or by somebody believing themselves to be a witch.
That's boring.
As far back as I can recall, I do not remember the idea of the Sheriff of Nottingham being raised by a witch any earlier than Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Just like I don't remember any account of Robin Hood having a Saracen companion or somebody from the Holy Land as a companion until Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out.
We'll have to ask Secunda. She seems to know more about old stories than I do.
Okay.
I should fact check with her to see if any of those things were in the stories before Prince of Thieves.
Sure, sounds like a good idea. Go with a child to do your history fact checks instead of your husband.
You told me it wasn't history. It's a story. So she is the one to check with.
History. Robin Hood is a history. So even if it's not real, the story of Robin Hood is important to history.
Okay, so why was it important to history?
It's important to history because it's a tune we all still, or at least a lot of people still cling to today. The idea of robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. So there are plenty of people out there, and even I dare say a vast majority of them in I'm going to go with leftist politics of the day that think it is not only acceptable, but that it is right, it is good, it is true to rob from the rich and give to the poor.
Uh-huh.
Now, whether or not the poor actually end up getting all that stuff that is stolen from the rich is another story of corruption and whatnot.
Well, you got
But
to
no,
skim off the top.
it's there. The idea that the rich have too much, we should take away from them and give to those that don't have that much, is a very old idea that does have arguable merit. I think it is a wrong argument because, in my opinion, stealing, whatever the reason, is wrong. You could have a good reason to do it, and you might even do good things with the whatever it is that you may have stolen from somebody. But that doesn't make it morally correct or more ethically right, at least.
Right.
There's a fair argument to say that, oh, but John was stealing from the people, so you're only stealing from him. And so that has a level of merit to it as far as stealing from the government. And this is something that people do to justify stealing from the government. The idea that, well, the government is robbing us and it's not supposed to do that. So, of course, we're going to steal back from the government.
In the form of like not paying your taxes or
And not paying your taxes or lying about your taxes, cheating on your taxes, or in some case, straight up robbing the government somehow. Like, we know the most recent one that I can think of was that a lot of money that was meant to go to COVID, helping people out with COVID, has been proven over and to have been stolen by scammers that got away with millions of dollars. So yes, the stealing from the rich has long been a thing that people have done, if for no other reason than the idea, the common mentality of, oh, they're rich, they can afford it, so it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt them. And the idea of it's okay for you to do whatever you want so long as you're not actually hurting somebody is another common thing in humanity.
Right.
But anyway, to get back to the Robin Hood idea, that when people are poor, when people are suffering, when people think that they have no way out, that there's nothing that they can do about it because they feel powerless to fight back, to resist, to control or whatnot, then when a hero comes along and does that for them, that's what they all want. There's so many stories about that. I dare say the three of the largest, most popular religions we have in the world are based on the principle of people not being able to do something for themselves and a hero, a savior, if you will, coming along and doing this thing for them that they couldn't do for themselves.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought to link those two concepts together before. Huh.
And all three of these faiths believe that this person, be it God or something in between God and man, is going to set everything to right. And all of these three religions and others around the world also say that, amongst other things, to be rich is bad for you or is not the best of things for you. I don't know that a lot, so I can't say for sure that they directly say, oh, being rich bad, you're gonna bad things are gonna happen to you, but they definitely encourage more charity, more humility than hold on to your riches in a great big vault and go swimming in it like Scrooge McDuck.
Right. And like if you have riches, you're supposed to use it for the good of your fellow men.
Yes, I like what you keep telling me that we keep talking about Braveheart here.
How many times?
I like a line that Mel Gibson's character says in Braveheart in describing a difference of opinion between the noble, so the first estate and the third estate. He says, he says to the nobles, you believe the people of this world exist to provide you with possessions. And Wallace turns it around on them and says, I think that your possessions exist to provide these people with freedom or security, the livelihood, to expound on what the character says. Yeah. So and I think that's very true. I think that the people that are successful do have the responsibility to help care for others, but at the same time, we have the responsibility, if we are not those rich people, or rather, it's not our place to tell people what to do with their stuff. I mean, as much as all of us might be perfectly willing to tell Bill Gates what he should do with his money, or to tell Jeff Bezos he should spend his money on something other than a private spaceship, would we be so humble if we had those resources and somebody came up to us and said, hey, don't spend your money on what you want to spend it on, spend it on what we say you should spend it on.
Right.
I mean, we're poor, and I still got people calling me all the time telling me that I need to spend my money on extended warranties. How dare they tell me that?
Well, honey, those are scammers.
That's my money. I'm going to spend it on what I want.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I should take that back. I'm married, so I don't get to spend my money on what I want. I get to watch my wife spend my money on what she wants.
What we
And
need.
And occasionally I'm allowed an allowance of some sort.
You have such a hard life.
Yeah, I think I earned a whole 2 cents this last year. So and this was a good year, a banner year for me.
It's true. It's true. All right. Well, awesome. Unless you have other insights on Robin Hood, I guess we'll end there.
I don't think there was a lot of dancing in the forest.
Aww.
Dancing wasn't that popular.
Yes, it was. Dancing has always been popular.
That was not the right thing to say. That type of dancing that one observes in Men in Tights was not that popular back in the time, especially for men amongst themselves.
Are you telling me that first musical number in Men in Tights, when it's the guys rapping in the forest, you're telling me that's not authentic?
So while that musical style, or at least the origins of that musical style, were in existence at the time,
wait, what?
They were a good couple thousand miles away.
What?
Okay, so the music that we hear, and so I'm not a music aficionado, so I don't know if the opening of that is to be called rap or hip hop or something else.
Okay.
But no, those rap and hip hop include, and with other music stylings that originated in what I'm going to call black culture or African culture. This goes back to include jazz, amongst other things, in the blues.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of this, if not all of it, goes actually all the way back into ancient African cultures. These are all the evolutions of musical styles that originated and were practiced in Africa for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Now, they've taken, like other cultures, they've taken on some influence here and there from other cultures from time to time. And I would dare say that at least from the jazz age, probably sooner than that, but at least it's undeniable that from the jazz age, when the blues and jazz come out, that more so it is that music that has influenced other music stylings since. Oh,
definitely. Yeah. So maybe those rappers at the beginning of Robin Hood Men in Tights were exchange students. Just like the character Chu was. There's in-world justification for them to be there singing that song at that time period in Robin Hood.
So, exchange students, as we think of it today, was not a practice back then. That said, yes, wealthy people or towns with enough means and money were known to send students to foreign countries for an education.
Anything's possible then. Yeah. Thank you for not ruining that one for me.
Okay.
You ruined so many things for me.
Do I ruin them for you, or does history teach you that something less awesome than what you thought happened?
It's your fault.
Like telling you that, no, we didn't need aliens to help us build those things. We built them ourselves because humans are awesome, and how dare you imply that we couldn't have done these things for ourselves?
Sometimes ignorance is bliss, and I don't appreciate you trying to change that.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss for stupid people. No, I apologize. I'm not supposed to say that.
Ignorant people.
Ignorance is bliss for foolish people. And actually, okay. So I love this. Right? You say that ignorance is bliss. Mm-hmm. I say, okay, then by that token, you have just admitted that the slaves were happy.
Don't you dare!
Because they were ignorant. Of their rights, their privileges, of the natural law of things.
You just dropped a nuke.
If
you can't do that.
If you want to cut that, you can. I won't stop you. But that's very much the mentality. It's the argument. The only reason that these people the only justifiable reason to say that they were happy is to admit that they were ignorant. Unless I'm mistaken, a lot of the main arguments that focus on that point out the idiocy of people making the claim that no, the slaves were happy with their lives. That's only in recognition of their ignorance, of not knowing what as human beings they were entitled to, or of the ignorance of not recognizing themselves as being human beings, but actually believing themselves to be the animals or the lesser life forms that people told them they were. And I want to make it clear, I am not referring just to colonial slavery of Europeans on African Americans, but slavery throughout time period.
Right.
Throughout time period, slaves have been told that they are trash, they are garbage, they are less than human.
Right.
Or at least less than their masters, whoever their masters might have been.
True. That was mean. All I'm asking is to be allowed to believe.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to help you recognize things that I think are important to recognize.
All I'm asking is to be able to be left alone to believe that Robin Hood and his merry men were real, and they wore green tights, and they sang and danced.
You can enjoy the fictitious representation and still know the truth. I know the truth, and I still loved Prince of Thieves. I still loved Men in Tights.
I guess that's fair.
I think about it like this. You've told me that you like to watch the movie first and then read the book.
Yep.
I don't think that I am like that. I think that I have almost always been, I like to read the book first and then watch the movie. And even though, yes, there are often things different between the movie and the book for better or for worse, I've still almost always enjoyed the movie. And in some cases, I've thought the movie was better. Doesn't change the fact that it doesn't change the fact that even though I know what the reality is, be it from a non-fictional scenario or from even the fictional book that I've read before, still enjoy it. Ender's Game was another good one recently. So that was a fictitious work that I knew. I read the book. I loved the book. I was kind of disappointed in the movie, but I still enjoyed it.
That's why you got to watch the
And
movie first.
to go off a history one, so the Alamo, I'm very familiar with the history of the Alamo. I was entertained by John Wayne's movie of the Alamo, or the movie that John Wayne did with the Alamo. And so I was entertained by that one. But I really liked the more recent one that I saw with Billy Bob Thornton and
what's his name?
And other people who were in it that I know I've seen before, but whose names I can't remember.
The guy that looks
I think one's name is Jason and the other name is Patrick, but I don't remember that. Oh, Dennis Quaid was in it.
There you go. And the one guy who reminds me of Wolverine.
So yeah. And so at the time that we were recording this episode, that I see that there's a new Napoleon movie coming out. I already know from the shots that I've seen in the preview that they've taken at least 2 creative liberties that did not happen, or rather, or I shouldn't say it like that. One of them I know didn't happen. The other one, I think from just the clips I've seen of the credits, that he took something that happened in some other battle and put it into this one where it doesn't belong. But I could excuse that. And I'm still convinced that I'm going to enjoy this movie. Because I like Ridley Scott's movies. I like Joaquin Phoenix as an actor. The few clips that I've seen of him, I'm thinking, I dare say this guy, he's going to be the best Napoleon I've ever seen.
But
and I've seen a lot of Napoleons.
Movies like that perpetuate ignorance.
So I think we've talked about this before. You can do that in a movie. As much as I would love to see a 100% accurate, no details missing or fictionalized or anything like that movie, I recognize that doesn't always hold an audience. Creative liberties have always been used, and I think appropriately so, even if some of them are completely wild, out of nowhere ideas. I think are still necessary to hold on to the audience, because a movie is not being given to students of history. A movie is being given to people that want entertainment.
True.
And despite the fact that these movies are not 100% historically accurate, more often than not, I still like them, because at a minimum, they get some people interested in the reality. Some people will look it up and see, ooh, did that really happen? Did Napoleon really do this? Did the people at the Alamo really do that? Did George Washington really do this? Did Benedict Arnold really do that? Was Horatio Gates really an idiot? Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of movies really convey that part of him. Off the top of my head, I think I've only seen one portrayal of Gates, and yeah, they played him off as a very snobby, proud idiot.
And if you don't get that reference, listen to last week's episode on Benedict Arnold.
Yes.
All right, fine. I think we're done.
All right. I have endured the many, many insults to my intelligence from my children and their childish questions about Robin Hood. Was he an actual bird? Morons. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Fools. Fools. My children are fools.
Thank you for
listening. I'm going to have a talk with their teacher someday.
Yeah, good luck getting a hold of her. If you liked what you heard, then please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to make a donation to the Get Better Soon Fund for me, then please do.
We have a link in our episode descriptions to a thing called Buy Me a Coffee, but I've renamed it Buy Our Kids a Pizza. So if people want to donate to our cause, I mean, we could use that money.
Okay, if you want to buy my kids a pizza, I'm not going to stop you, but I don't think that's going to affect my throat or my congestion anytime soon.
Well, this episode's going to come out in 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks.
See, now that you've said that, though, now I'm thinking about pizza, and I could really go for a pizza right now.
Well, in 2.5 weeks, people will hear this, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll get some money for a pizza. Because hopefully your throat will be better by then.
Yes, hopefully my throat will be better than then. It's been, what has it been? Oh, it's been almost a week. Ugh. I was so lucky that I got this when I did because, I mean, work. If you stay out of work for 3 days or more, then they make you get a doctor note before they let you come back.
Ooh.
I'm so lucky to hit me 2 days before the weekend. I was really hoping I could make it all the way through the week.
I know, you tried.
I really wanted to.
Stupid plague hit the house.
It's a holiday weekend, a long holiday weekend coming up. I don't need to take to take more days off than that.
I know.
Yeah, Wednesday night, I just couldn't get to sleep, and it was so bad.
I know, it was sad.
This is going to be my evidence too. I think I told you about this. I found out my boss is still listening to our show, so
you'll find out if she listens to this one.
Leave all this in case she's doubting that I was dying.
I promise, he was dying. Our kids all got the plague, and it took us like 2 weeks for it to go through everyone in the family. Oh, except for one. We have one kid that it never touched, so we're praying that she doesn't get it.
Was that number one?
Primus, yeah.
Really?
She never got sick.
I'm gonna give her lots of goodnight kisses.
I know. The rest of us are like hacking up a lung and like can't swallow and sneezing everywhere. I don't know how she got so lucky.
I never liked her at all. Who am I kidding? She's my favorite. My firstborn, the heir to my kingdom.
Yep.
If you'd like to hear a future episode with more information about today's topic, contact us on Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Married to History Pod.
Also, please contact us if you have a silly question idea or if there's something from history that you would love to learn about.
No silly. I cannot do another silly right now. If you call me asking me questions about, I don't know, anybody who was an animal in a cartoon at some point in time, I'm going to blow a gasket.
Well, you kind of ruined the whole shtick.
If you dare to ask me about culture in India, and if there really were blue bears in India, and if they were time travelers or travelers in multiple dimensions where they were pilots or merry men, then I'm gonna blow a gasket. And I see your face lighting up, woman. Don't you do it.
Now that you mention it,
do it.
I really would love to talk about the Baloo time travel theory.
Give me strength.
Okay, we won't do it on the pod, but that is my favorite.
Fine, I can ignore you when it's not on the pod.
You have to finish
At least one of our kids has noise-canceling headphones, right?
Yes. You have to actually read the script.
All right. Oh, yeah. Just be sure to specify in your message that it is serious, because I don't want to blow a gasket.
Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Do we need to get fresh water?
Yeah, I've got fresh water.
There? Okay.
What are we waiting for?
Intro. Okay. I'm also a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, Christopher, and...
She's stumped.
I didn't change the thing. Good curriculum, Christopher, and Liberty's Kids to teach our kids history.
Change the thing? You update your script so that you know which musical you're going to cite instead of just picking one at random?
I rotate. I've told you this.
Oh.
I have a list I rotate through.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we don't have that.
We don't have Liberty's Kids? I thought we did have Liberty's Kids.
No,
Were you just renting it from the library?
No, we own it.
Oh.
We don't need to see the next part of the script. Okay, moving on. Hold on.
I am holding onto my microphone.
All right, well, honey, I have a history question for you.